Have you ever felt like art is just what you needed to kind of distract you from heartache or the troubles of the world, I'm thinking about how important art can be, as an avenue for peace and distraction. And I know we shouldn't be distracted when important things are happening in the world. But for me, when I focus so much on the difficulties of the world and what I'm hearing, I can start to lose hope, and that's where I go back to storytellers and artisans and all those people who make life bearable and worth living. And I think in particular, art can be a means to heal a broken heart. Importantly, I think a broken heart doesn't have to be necessarily romantic. It can be a heart that's been wounded from family issues or social issues, or maybe issues that are entirely internal. We never know what someone's going through, but we can still help them by giving everyone an opportunity for art. I live, or at least I would like to live, with a sort of philosophy that there should be boundless compassion for everyone, right? And sometimes art can be compassionate and a consolation to people who are going through something. And that certainly happened to me. I think about all the times when I really need help getting away from the troubles of life, and there's an immediacy to going back to art, and looking at some of my favorite painters and kind of getting lost in that reality. And I've heard a lot of people who have a sort of connection to fashion magazines or fashion illustration, not so much because they want to wear the garments that they see, but because it offers a portal into a different realm, into a different dimension, and I think I get that. I don't think many fashion illustrators that I follow, I would ever be able to realistically see myself modeling their clothes, right? Using their clothes in daily life. But it's an avenue for us to dream bigger, And right now, I think art can do that. It's always during the toughest periods of our life that I feel the strongest connection to art. Yet I wouldn't say, I think there's also a dangerous position that people take where they believe suffering is necessary for virtue. Isn't that kind of intrinsically built into us that we believe we have to suffer to sculpt a better version of ourselves? And while that definitely can be the case, I don't think you have to suffer to make good art, And I don't think people have to suffer to be molded into better people. I'm sure that's a possibility, and I think it's a catalyst for making better character, but suffering as an equation to virtue, or suffering as an equation to making good art, I'm not sure. It can be a catalyst, but I'm not sure if it's the only ingredient, And I don't know if I'm alone in this, but sometimes heartache can be like a quiet sort of thing that needs no causetry. You know, it just is. It is. You know, it exists. It comes about. So, I don't know. That's where I go back to stories and storytelling. I've been reading Blam. It's spelled B-L-A-M-E, and it's a manga that is starting to be very influential. And I'm so sorry, I know the name of the illustrator and architect who produced the manga, but there's no chance I can pronounce his name. So if you're interested, just look up Blam. It's B-L-A-M-E with an exclamation mark after it. And it's supposed to mimic kind of like, I think his idea was guns have like a sound where they like blam blam blam. Does that make sense? Where it's kind of like an exclamative. But it's a sci-fi thriller manga series, and kind of, I guess it's kind of like a dystopian reality. And even though it's a pretty dark manga, it's been really helpful to read it and just distract myself from all the weird stuff that's happening in, you know, where I'm at, and in politically, socially, and even internally, you know. Again, like I said, heartache doesn't have to have kind of a reason for existing. Sometimes it can just crop up in our lives and we didn't even expect it. Sorry, I keep bumping the camera. I'm doing a sketch right now. I hope you can see it. You really can't see it, can you? Not really, it's so faint, but I've done another one. I'll show you another time when I have a better camera setup. It's kind of a fashion illustration. She has these kind of jarring cobalt blue, kind of Miu Miu style heels, and these little gloves too that I think are really fetch. And then I did this one, really heavily inspired by Blam. So you get this sort of cool, stylish kind of mobster, I don't know, icon with all these cobalt blue polka dots and the hair flying everywhere, and then this long sword. It's very cartoonish, which is a little different than what I usually paint, you know? Like behind me is kind of more of a Baroque inspired Piranesi sort of piece, but and then I've done this one too, and this one's kind of soft. It's pop art, almost in a Norman Rockwell sort of way. And I don't know, I like exploring with acrylic markers. There's an immediacy to acrylic that's addictive, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. I can get caught up in markers and paintbrushes and pencils and paper, and suddenly I don't have a thought in the world except to offer the world art and offer an escape. And that's what I want to do with my life. I want to offer people the opportunity to be consoled. And so anyway, this was relaxing. I hope everyone watching is relaxing. I hope this music isn't too loud. I was kind of contemplating if I wanted to turn it down or not, so I'll have to watch it back and see if it was really blasting in the background, but I think it'll be okay. Anyway, have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. As always, so nice talking to you. Bye.